Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Baioumy, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. It's a very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir, and thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ambassador. Now, Hamas has accepted a U.S. proposal to begin talks on releasing Israeli hostages, including soldiers and men, just 16 days after the first phase of an agreement aimed at ending the Gaza genocide war. How do you see this latest development, Your Excellency?
It is a positive development, and I hope it continues like that until we see a real agreement between the two parties, whether to exchange prisoners or to stop killing. Another positive dimension that the United States President is encouraging Israel to accept the deal. Only I am not sure that about the honesty of the Prime Minister of Israel, that he will continue like that. Although the head of the Israeli security is now in Doha in Qatar,
yes,
in order to continue negotiations. So we hope that this will come to at least a relatively half a solution or a step towards a final solution. So let us wait and see, and we hope this will stop the killing of our brothers in Gaza and Palestine, and we come to a further step towards peace and stability in the area.
Indeed, Your Excellency. Now, one of the reasons, apparently, for this positive development is that it has been reported that Hamas has dropped a demand that Israel first commit to a permanent ceasefire before signing the agreement, which would allow negotiations to achieve this through, the first 6-week phase. How do you see this, Your Excellency?
This is the details of the negotiations. It seems that there is sort of lack of confidence between the two parties. So one step here, one step there, and thanks to the negotiators from Qatar, from Egypt, and from the United States, who can bring all the parties towards a real agreement. So it is positive steps, and we hope that this will continue until we have a real solution, not just a story of the cinema, because I really have my doubts about the real intentions of the Prime Minister of Israel.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Ambassador, another Hamas source said that the proposal will also ensure, that mediators would guarantee a temporary ceasefire, at least an aid delivery, which is a very vital demand and need of the sustainable aid delivery for the Palestinians that are under siege and that are suffering from unprecedented inhumane conditions.
This is another dimension of the story.
Yes.
It's not only that we stop killing or that we have to exchange prisoners, but also in order to make us able to supply those who are in need of water, or those who are hungry, or those who are sick and need medicine, and Egypt is doing its best. I hear state that Egypt has sent 80% of what Gaza receives,
yes,
of assistance coming from Egypt. And we are ready to continue this. So this is another part of the agreement, that it's not only stopping killing or a sort of a truce, but in order to make our children in Gaza find clean water and to find a good source of food or medicine. This is very, very encouraging step also. We hope it continues like that.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. Since you spoke about the Egyptian role, Egypt has played a very prominent role from the very beginning with regards to mediating and then aid delivery, as well as the assistance of the Palestinians, the opening of the borders, the receiving of people in need of medical aid and assistance, etc. How do you see overall the important role played by Egypt over the last 9 months or so?
Because Egypt is the oldest country in the area, even in the whole world. And we were there even 2,000 years before Christ. We were there during the Crusade invasion, and we were always there. The new element here is that we have very good relations and strong relations with all parties, even with Israel itself. And I'm saying that because some on the Egyptian and the Arab side would disagree with me, and they want us to stop the relation or to send back the ambassador or to cut the diplomatic relation. This is not good, because these are our tools in order to continue our efforts towards peace and stability there. So Egypt is, also Jordan has the same position, that we are the only two countries with full relations with Israel, and of course we belong to the Arab side. So the honesty and the cleverness and the ability of Egypt to conclude a deal is quite clear.
Absolutely. Now, Your Excellency, there have been calls by international organizations like the United Nations for a ceasefire, etc. Yet the role of the international community to back these calls or to support them have been lacking. How do you see the international community's response to the whole genocide war in Gaza?
We have a problem. We have a serious problem with the international organization,
yes,
namely the United Nations and its organization, of course, because since years we are facing the challenge from the United States, who wants to make the United Nations a part of the United States, and by the veto voting all the time, they are stopping any serious decision to be taken. But we went to the United Nations General Assembly and we made a small story of success with 154 votes with the Palestinian question. We have now many countries are recognizing more and more the PLO. We have a story of success there. Take the African Union, yes, who recognize the Palestinian PLO, although Palestine is not African, who refuses that Israel to be observer in the African Union. This is a story of success, one after the other. Mm-hmm. The Islamic Conference also, the Arab world, the Latin America, all of these forces are supporting our case because of the quite good position and good relations of Egypt with everybody.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. Finally, Mr. Ambassador, what do you see is needed in the coming period in order to get the second phase of the agreement implemented on the ground?
We need to push Israel and to convince Israel to realize that peace is also good for Israel. It's not that we are asking them for a favor, because frankly I don't see any good future for Israel with continuous killing of the Palestinians. They are almost half of the population in Palestine. What future Israel can expect with making enemies all over the borders, in the north, in the west, in the east, in the south, everywhere. So our task is to convince the majority of the Israelis that it is for their own sake to continue the peace process, not killing. Otherwise, in 20 years to come, they will have no friend at all in the area.
Absolutely right. On that note, I'd like to thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Baioumy, the former Assistant to the Prime Minister. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and your insight on today's edition of Arab Affairs. And still continuing with the related news to the developments in Gaza. The Israeli occupation military continued its bombardment in sporadic areas in the Gaza Strip for the 274th day of aggression on the besieged strip. The occupation army committed 3 massacres, leaving 29 martyrs and 100 injuries in the last 24 hours. You have the details. Israeli occupation military continued its bombardment in sporadic areas in the Gaza Strip for the 274th day of aggression on the besieged Strip. The occupation army committed 3 massacres that left 29 martyrs and 100 injuries during the last 24 hours. Separate Israeli airstrikes killed at least 6 people in central Gaza, including 2 children at a home and at least 1 United Nations worker. Around 250,000 people were affected earlier in the week by an Israeli order to evacuate half of the southern city of Khan Yunis and a wide swath of the surrounding area. The health ministry in Gaza said Saturday that at least 38,098 people have been killed in 9 months of genocide war on Gaza. The toll includes at least 87 deaths over the last 24 hours. It added that 87,705 people have been wounded in the Gaza Strip since the war began. UNRWA said that Israeli troops continue their aggression on land, air and sea across the Gaza Strip with new orders of evacuation in Khan Yunis. It added that there are 1.9 million people in Gaza which were displaced, including those who've moved 9 to 10 times. Violence also flared in the occupied West Bank, where Israeli occupation forces killed 7 people in a raid and an airstrike. Palestinian Health Ministry says over 500 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire in the West Bank.